So Nintendo is in 2016. Nintendo is really going to move their smartphone game initiative forward. The first announced game is Miitomo, which is going to be a game that lets you use your Mii, and it's going to be like a little social app, it appears. And they say that they're going to have 5 games done by 2017. And what Reggie is saying here is that...
Good old Reggie Fils-Aime.
Yeah. What Reggie is saying here is that these games are going to feel different. And... I don't know why he even feels like he needs to come out and say that, because of course a mobile game is going to feel different than a game on a console. That's exactly why so many people who play games don't necessarily use mobile platforms as their only platform. They use consoles, they use dedicated portable handhelds. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now they want them to tie into the new Club Nintendo, which is
My Nintendo.
My Nintendo, which I think is going to be interesting. I have a feeling that what we're going to see are games that are going to interact in Street Pass, similar to like a 3DS.
But on a phone.
But on a phone.
If you have it, maybe if you have the program open.
If you have a certain program open, you may be able to do that.
That's not a terrible idea.
And it could be very interesting.
Drain your phone.
I don't want my games by Nintendo on a smartphone to feel like Nintendo games, because that's why I buy a 3DS. That's why I have a Wii U. The thing is it's weird though, because when Miitomo was announced, all of these gamers, there was backlash because there was going to be in-app purchases, and it looked like a shitty, casual game. Yet these are the same people who said they didn't want to see games like Mario and Zelda and stuff on phones. So, what do you want?
You can't have it both ways.
I think that's what Reggie is coming out and saying. I think after seeing that, he's warning. Yeah, you're not. Don't worry about it. We're gonna keep your favorite, your more core Nintendo games like Mario and Zelda. We're gonna keep them what they are, and what you get from us on a smartphone is gonna be different. And I think it's just to kind of like get everyone's expectations into check, because it's very strange to me that was the sort of reaction we got from people when Miitomo was announced. What did you expect?
Yeah, I think people were a little naive if they thought that Nintendo was gonna put old NES games on a cell phone. They're never going to do that.
No.
First of all, they'd be awful to play.
Well, no one wanted that either. That was my point.
And plus, they got to protect their eShop sales, because they're all for sale on there.
Well, they have to protect the brand.
Protect the brand.
The brand quality. If you put out a shit port of Mario, that does damage to people who are not familiar.
Now, I would say though that I would not be shocked if down the road. Not saying this is going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if you got, say, a popular, some of the most popular type of games on your phone are like Candy Crush style games.
Yeah.
Tower defense games, Game of War strategy games.
No.
I'm not saying you couldn't integrate that with Nintendo properties and have them be successful.
No, I expect that to fully happen. I'm just saying, like, you're not going to get. I don't think you're going to get a full-fledged Nintendo experience. I think that's what he's saying. You're probably going to get something like a Doodle Jump clone with Mario or something on it.
If you got like a real-time strategy game on your mobile phone, are they real-time? I don't know if Game War is even real-time or turn-based. That shows how much I know. I'm guessing it's real-time. What if you did like Mushroom Kingdom Wars against? That would be That would be cool. That'd be fun. Because you're probably not going to get that on a console.
It'd be cute, at least.
You're not going to get it on a console. Why not get... How about I have my Bowser... Think of like Warcraft on my phone, but you have Bowser Kingdom, Bowser's the bad guys versus the Mushroom guys going at it. That could be fun. Who cares? It's $1.99 or it's free, and I spend real money to get coins. It's not like you're being forced to buy that game.
They've already put Puzzle and Dragons on the 3DS, which was paid, and you got everything on the 3DS, but it's free to play on the phone. Why not just go ahead and do a full-on free-to-play version of it for with Nintendo characters for the phone? I mean, that's probably what they're going to do.
I think people have to remember that without this software, Nintendo's dead. Without their software.
Yes.
They can't put out hardware without their first-party software. So they're going to be very protective. If they that's one of the reasons why for so many years they said there's not going to be any Nintendo games on smart devices. They said that forever, and then they said, okay, we changed our mind. I think because they finally found a way to do it smartly and came up with a good plan.
Right.
And they're not going to just throw out, all right, our first game is going to be a Flappy Bird clone, but we're going to put, Birdo on it or something. You know what I mean? Like that, they could do that and make a ton of money, but it would damage them long term.
Right.
They realize that.
Yes.
They could put out a Game of War sponsored. This Game of War skin is just Nintendo. They could do that in a heartbeat and get millions for that, but they realize that's not smart over the long haul.
I wouldn't be surprised to see many games they do involve Mii integration, because that's not going to hurt their brand. A Mii is just a Mii. That's all it is. It's an avatar.
It's a Mii.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see original characters for their phone games to kind of separate their phone games from Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's a success for them, yes, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them integrate certain key characters into, simplified versions of certain types of games or that sort of thing. And, I hadn't even thought about that before until I said it, but I don't know. I think that would actually be very smart of Nintendo to create something simple, something cutesy, something appealing, some original characters for their phone games that kind of keep them separate from their console games.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What if they come up with a cool idea and then eventually it gets popping up, they put it on a console.
Right.
New IP. So they're going to do 5 smartphone/tablet games between now and March 2017. So we're talking a year and a half, 5 games. It's not a huge amount when you think about that for the mobile market to put out. They've been working on them, obviously. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll have that weird-ass Pokemon one out by then, too. We never discussed that one. That was in the house. That's bizarre. We'll get to that later.
AR, Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to see when I'm on vacation. People looking for Pokemons when we're looking at the pyramids. Giza.
Someone staring at your crotch because there's a
there's
a Charmander there.
There's a Bulbasaur coming down there when I'm looking at the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Anyway.